Hey everybody, it's Undeniable Truth, and today we're going to break down the melee classes. These are your higher damage heroes that once they get in on a target, they can really put your enemies on the back foot. All melee classes have 14 health with the exception of the Assassin, so let's start with him. Assassin has 12 health and 5 move, which makes him the most mobile unit in the game. His first ability is unique in how it deals damage. If the target is at a diagonal space from him, he deals 5 damage, but if they are in a space directly next to him, it's only 2 damage. So you can try to prevent it from hitting your weaker targets sometimes by purposefully standing in the way of his diagonal attacks. His second ability is Shadow Sprint, which allows him to move an additional 3 spaces separate from his normal 5 move. This additional 3 spaces also ignores collision, so he can walk right past allies or enemies. A useful tool to surprise the enemy with a massive 8 move in 1 turn, or to disengage after an attack to help keep him safe. His ultimate deals 8 damage and allows him to move 1 space either before or after the hit. The Assassin, as the name would imply, excels at dealing massive damage to targets and covering a lot of ground to do it. This is offset by his lower than average health, but with proper spacing and planning, he's a terror to deal with. Next, we have the Samurai. He has 4 move and the normal 14 health. He's a mid to late game hero whose strengths are decided by the player's choice in ultimate. His first ability is a very standard 4 damage melee attack. His second ability, however, is his first stance change, and it heals him 1 health and grants him a shield while flipping him over. Where on the back he has the same first ability as the front side, but his second ability is now Titan Grip, which gives him an attack up before switching him back to the front side again. The real shine of this hero lies in his ult, and which you choose to use. It costs 2 purple, which is the most of any ult in the game, but it makes this hero twice as good. If you do Awaken Orochi from the front side, it changes your first ability to now do 6 damage permanently, and that's on both sides. So Flurry will now do 6 damage instead of 4, just base. And it makes your second ability on the back, Titan Grip, give you 2 attack ups instead of 1. If you do Awaken Shogun on the flip side, your second ability on the front now heals you for 2 health and grants you 2 shields. So your firm stance now gives you 2 shields instead of 1, and heals you for 2. Literally doubles it. So depending on what you need in a match, the Samurai can flex as a very high damage attacker or a very sustainable frontliner. The biggest bonus to take away from the ults is that it doesn't increase the cost of his new buffed skills, so he becomes one of the strongest units in the game. Next, we have the Berserker. He's got 4 move and the standard health. He has a unique mechanic in his blood marks that he applies to enemies, so we'll actually talk about his bottom 2 abilities first to explain how he works. So his second ability, Affliction, applies 2 blood marks to any enemies within 2 range of him. His ultimate applies 3 blood marks to all enemies within 3 range of him. The only damaging ability that the Berserker has is his first ability, which is Consume, and it consumes all blood marks on a target and deals 2 damage to them per blood mark, and he heals 1 for every blood mark taken off. This can make him really hard to deal with once he gets in on your team, since he becomes such a threat that can self-sustain if he's not taken out quickly. Our next melee hero is the Dragoon. He has 4 move and standard health. He becomes a mobile unit by properly stacking his second ability of both sides of his guard. His first ability on the front side deals 2 damage from a range of up to 2 and allows him to move an additional 2 spaces afterward. He must attack first before getting the additional move. This also flips him to his other side where his A1 turns into thrust, which does a more standard melee for 4 damage at 2 reds, but he can do it from 2 spaces as well. And this will flip him back. The unique part about the Dragoon is his second ability on either side of the card. On the front side, he increases the damage of Gungnir by 1. Gungnir is his ult. That's what this character is all about, is basically unleashing Gungnir after stacking. On the flip side, his A2 grants Gungnir an additional range. So the Dragoon has 2 ults while we're on the backside. His second ult is another buff to Gungnir, so this one gives him 2 damage and 2 range at once to Gungnir on the front side. And then where the real magic happens for the Dragoon is his front side Gungnir. It has a base damage of 3 and a base range of 3, but that's increased for every stack he's built from the other 3 abilities that empower it. When used, he leaps to a location within the range that's been built up and deals damage to the 8 spaces that are around him. Wherever he lands, all 8 of those spaces that surround him take the damage of Gungnir, and then it takes all of the marks away. So the Dragoon will normally be played passively while he builds up the damage for his ult before exploding onto the scene. And last but not least, we have the Alchemist. He has 4 move and standard health. The Alchemist has a bit of a flex kit overall and can be used in a lot of different ways. His first ability is pretty standard, just 4 damage at 2 range, like the Dragoon's reverse side, for 2 red, very standard. But his second ability gives him 2 options. He can either deal 2 damage to himself to gain 2 attack ups, or he can heal himself by 3. His ultimate is one of the most unique in the game. He can sacrifice 2 health to change any red, blue, or yellow energy into a different red, blue, or yellow. This is normally only done by exchanging 2 red, 2 blue, or 2 yellow for a single of a different one of those energies, but his ult lets him use 2 health to just straight turn one energy into a different one. And this can be done as many times as he wants per turn, but he will have to pay 2 health for every change. The Alchemist makes some plays that would normally be impossible due to his ability to change energy, and he can sustain this by healing himself as well, so he can really add value to any lineup. And that's all the melee classes. As usual, if you guys have any questions on the topic of this video, please leave a comment and I will answer them. In our next video, we will be going over the last class of heroes, the range class. So hope to see you in the next one. Till next time.